Hi everybody, my name is Monica Olivera and I am a Latina homeschooling mom. I'm really excited to be participating. Thanks to Multicultural Kid Blogs for putting this together, and what I'm going to be doing today is talking about homeschooling global citizens and how to find resources for exposing your children to world cultures, and basically just giving you some information on what I do with my own children as I'm trying to teach them how to really appreciate all the countries that are and the cultures that are involved in our world, that make up our world. So what I'm going to do is basically tell you how I put a curriculum together to explore world cultures, and then I don't want you to worry about writing things down too much, because what we're going to do is put together a resource list for you guys that will be available, so you can just print it off from your home computer if you'd like to do that, okay? So basically what I do when I'm putting together any kind of world culture study, I put together basically kind of like a unit study. Again, of course, with geography, because we need to know where the country, where the culture is located. So I rely heavily on books that provide so much information for my kids to read on their own, or if you have younger children, you can read together. You can read aloud to your children. I rely on atlases. This is one of them, one of my favorites, because it talks about different cultures throughout the world. Basic atlases, there's so many different ones that are available online. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them in your bookstores and used bookstores. I also rely heavily on Google Earth, because Google Earth is a great way to actually go to one of the specific places and to explore those. This book, actually, I'm going to put it back up. This book is really fantastic, because when you go through this book, it gives you coordinates, and you can specifically look for particular places within a country, and really explore the cities. So I really like that one a lot. Then I also kind of morph into the zoology of a country, mainly because my children are very science-minded. They really love nature, they love animals, and to really engage them, what I have to do is present to them some of the fauna and flora that are within a specific country, and that helps them to get real excited, because they just love animals. So I look up books, I look up websites that have, let me get that out of the way, there we go. I look at particular websites that discuss the different animals, the different habitats, the regions that are found within a specific country, because those all affect the cultures within those countries as well. So a lot of times, we can find out by studying the animals or the habitats within a country, we can learn about how, or we can see that reflected in the folklore, the traditions, sometimes the architecture of the country, so that it's a wonderful resource. I do like to discuss in depth specific monuments or landmarks, or things that for which a country is well known or a city is well known, and those are also a way to engage a child's imagination. History, I think, is really important, because the history of our world has such a strong effect on culture, and I think in order for us to understand other people, and we have to look back at the history of the country. So I strongly recommend The Story of the World, which is a series, it's a history series, and it's fantastic. I like to explore the literature of a country. So, for example, it could be, a novel by a multicultural author, or it could be the folklore. We might be learning about, the Native Americans. We might be learning about Aztecs. We might be learning about Spain. But the folklore is a way to really capture your child's imagination, and you can also like to look at notable figures from a specific country. So that might be studying famous artists from a particular country or famous writers. Music, of course, is a big part of studying any kind of culture, because most cultures have such unique, beautiful music. Traditions, I think, are a pretty good way of engaging students to think about how others are different but the same. You know what I'm trying to say? So, for example, we studied Dia de los Muertos. Day of the Dead is a way to help families remember the ones that they've lost. And I love learning about different holidays and traditions, and that's a great way for kids to explore other cultures. The costumes, I don't mean the kind that you put on to show off necessarily, but it's just the everyday clothing that maybe specific groups of people wear. And that might be influenced also going back to the geography. If you live, high up in the Andes, you're probably going to wear something a little different than if you live down on the coastline. Cuisine. So, I have one pretty adventurous eater, and I have another child who's not quite so adventurous. But it's really important, I think, to be able to sample and to be willing to have that curiosity and that bravery, I guess you want to call it, to actually go out and try and sample different types of food from all around the world. I think Eat Your Way Around the World, there's, I believe, a book. Multicultural Kid Blogs has participated in different dishes that are found around the world. Global Table Adventure is another really awesome resource that we can sometimes create like a little mini statistic mini book where you can talk about, what's the language of that country, what's the population of that country, what type of currency do they use, what's their national flag. Sometimes you might try putting together an interactive notebook. Videos are especially valuable, I think, because they really bring to life what someone from another culture is like. And there's so many different short clips that you can find on YouTube, but there's also, more in-depth programs. My kids, for example, you can go to my website, MommyMaestra.com, and you might be able to find some reviews I've done of a series of DVDs that explore what life is like for kids in different countries. But you can go to pbs.org and find a lot of valuable resources. YouTube, of course, Teachers Discovery, which is specifically geared for teachers. And I think, if you're a homeschooling parent like I am, you can also have access to that. TeacherTube, which is very similar to YouTube, is another great resource. The PBS Learning Media is new within the last several years, and they also put a lot of resources, not just videos, but also like lesson plans and activities for kids that they can use to explore different cultures or different people. Field trips are a valuable resource. If you can visit another country, if you can take your kids and visit another culture and explore, that is just such a it has such a profound impact on their understanding and I think their perspective and how they relate to other people. I really think it's so important for them to meet and see people from other countries, because it really drives home that that we have to be careful how we treat each other, no matter what we look like, what language we speak. Everyone is a person, and it's a way for us to squash stereotypes And resources for being able to do a lot of these things would be, for example, of course, your bookstores and your libraries. Of course, they carry a lot of these resources, but also museums, valuable resource for exploring different cultures. If you can't go to the country, then perhaps you can visit a cultural center related to that type of culture or country, museums, and also I think friends and play dates with friends who have a different heritage. So, you know, it's important to make friends from all over the world if you're able to. Of course, don't overlook technology. There's different websites that you can visit as a parent to find or download resources, but there's also websites that your children can visit to explore on their own that are safe. For example, one might be National Geographic Kids. Also Time for Kids around the world they have. And then the last thing I want to talk about is apps specifically for children. You have very animated happy apps such as Kid World Cultures, which are on iTunes, One Globe Kids or Kid Planet Discovery, or you can have some more serious apps such as Britannica, which have study cultures more in depth. We'll put together a resource list for you, and that way you'll be able to download it to your computer and then explore them at your leisure. So if you have any questions, you know, you can always contact me. My website is MommyMaestra.com. So I want to thanks very much.